Game resumed. Not enough minerals.
Hey, what's up everybody? Ruff here bringing you fast gas openings for Terran.
Minerals.
Now, with fast gas openings, technically what you're going to do is you're not going to get a fast expand or you're not going to go bio. Normally when you go fast gas, you're going to do some kind of tech and some kind of early aggression. So I'm going to be showing you the very basics of how to do that.
Not enough minerals.
So as you can see here, just playing very standard right now. You go with that first supply depot in the beginning. You get that supply depot at 10-11, and what you want to do is you want to get that refinery down at 11-11 with one of your SCVs, like right here. So this is how you do a fast gas opening. Now there are advantages and disadvantages to fast gas openings. When you fast gas open, you're expected to do some kind of damage to the opponent, or you're going to be completely behind in the macro game. So here, with this kind of opening, you just have to keep that in mind.
Not enough minerals.
So normally right after your refinery finishes, you want to get your barracks at 13-19. The reason you want to do 13-19 is because you don't want your barracks to be delayed too much, and you're able to continuously build SCVs through your orbital if you slightly delay your 14th SCV. So that's why it doesn't really matter if you get it on your 14th or 13th, but it's always better to get on your 13th worker. So then once the barracks finishes, you're going to be on probably 17-19, and what you're going to do is you're going to drop your factory right away. Now, depending on what race you're playing against, you're going to want to build a Marine in the beginning. If you're playing against Protoss, you want to build a Marine. If you're playing against Terran, you want to build a Marine. Now, normally when you want to get your second supply depot still during 17-19 while your orbital command is building. The reason you want to do that is because if you're already building your 18th SCV and it's halfway finished and you don't drop your supply depot, you will get supply blocked. So you have to keep that in mind. And what you do is you do build the reactor immediately after your factory goes down, and then you can switch the buildings out. And then you want to get your third supply depot as soon as the second one finishes. And this is actually how you do a really fast gas opening Hellion pressure, as you can see here. So this is just one example of what you can do, what you can open up with when playing maybe against a Zerg opponent. But now with the Queen upgrades, you have to keep in mind that it's a little harder for Hellions now, because the Queens can shoot a lot further. Now in this game, I'm starting at the beginning of a match. I'm playing against a Terran player. As you can see, I am doing that fast refinery opening, which is giving me that fast gas opening to do some kind of harass pressure. When this supply depot was finished, I immediately sent that SCV out to scout. Now, when you do a fast gas opening, you always want to send that first SCV that just finished your supply depot to scout. The reason that is because it's not safe to do a gas opening, especially if you're about to get cheesed. So you always want to send that worker out as soon as possible. It's also good for different kind of proxy strategies with a fast gas opening as well. Here you can see that the barracks is almost finished, and I'm still scouting my opponent on Antigua Shipyard. Now, Antigua Shipyard is one of those maps where you can utilize different kind of fast gas openings. One, because the natural is open, and two, because it's easy to do some kind of proxy with that very first SCV scout. So as you can see with this SCV scout, I'm kind of pretending like I'm moving away, but then I'm going to try to do a Thor rush here against this opponent. But the thing is, even though this opponent is scouting, he does manages to scout this Thor Rush build. So I immediately cancel because it's pointless to kind of try to keep that up. And then I try to build it back in my base. Though I am just very barely behind, it really doesn't matter because that factory wasn't up for long. So I'm actually doing a different build this game that actually works really effective. So as you can see here, I'm getting my second supply depot up. And I did manage to supply block myself. If you remember what I was saying about if you don't get that supply depot at 1719, you will end up supply blocking yourself. So as you can see, my opponent is doing a fast expand build. And with this opening, because my Thor didn't work, I decided, okay, well, I'm just going to go with a Banshee opening, and then I can fast expand off that. And if I do enough damage with the Banshee, then I can go ahead and try to do an all-in off of it, which is what you'll find out later on in this game, and give you an idea of why the fast gas opening can be very effective. So here you see that I have my factory built in my tech lab. Like I said, there are very different variations of the fast gas expand, but use the very basics to kind of get a feel for what build you want to do. So here, when you flip the starport, you can immediately start building the Banshee and getting the add-on for Cloak. Like I said, any kind of fast gas opening usually leads to some kind of early pressure or early cheese. So you can either do some kind of pressure or some kind of cheese. He does manage to scout me, as you noticed. So he does know that the tech lab was working and that there is a Banshee coming in. He knows that there's Cloak and he's going to respond to it by building an engineering bay. Now, when opponents do this, don't get discouraged and cancel the cloaking ability. You can still use the cloaking ability to your advantage. And I'm going to show you exactly how. Now I'm going to speed this up a little bit because this is basically just an idea of what kind of builds you can do with a fast gas opening. But even with, as you can see, even though they get missile turrets, you can utilize the advantage with this kind of opening with the Banshee. So technically it's being paid off for itself. That's just an idea of what you can do with a fast gas opening, getting up to 20 kills, and you've basically done the damage and you can expand now. So as you can see in this game, I'm going for one of those fast gas proxies with my factory. Now there are two different ways that you can do these proxies. You can either do very fast Thors, or you can do a very fast Banshee proxy. Both are very effective. The Banshee proxy is a little safer because the Thor is a little more all-in if you do the fast gas build. So as you can see, I got my gases really early this game. And here you kind of just want to wall off to make sure that the Terran does not know what you're doing. This is one of the biggest things when you're doing a fast gas opening, is because if you don't get the wall off early, like let's say that before these two supply depots are finished, the worker does not come into your base, you definitely want to get this wall off fast. That way the Terran doesn't know what's going on. So here I'm just going to speed this up and show you an idea of some other tactics that you can use with the fast gas. Now there's some other ones where you can go like a battle cruiser rush as well, but something like that is really not as effective on the ladder. So I highly suggest using either some kind of Hellion opening, some kind of Blue Flame Hellion opening, a Banshee opening, or a Thor drop opening, only if your micro is really good. So as you can see here, this is just another example that you can use for a fast Thor opening, as you can see. Now here's a game, everybody, where I'm doing a fast gas opening again. And notice that I'm building the marine that I was talking about earlier. Like I said, usually when you build that marine, you get the reactor right away. And this marine is meant to ward off any kind of workers that want to scout you on any kind of map. So if an SCV comes by, then you can use this marine to try to snipe it off before it gets past the marine. Also here, if you're playing against a Terran player and you're doing an opening that requires you to build an add-on for your barracks, normally you're going to do a 3 supply depot wall-off at your front. So as you can see here, I'm using this barracks to build the add-on. And then I'm going to flip the barracks with the factory to get those Hellions out right away. So instead of using double Hellions against a Zerg player that I was mentioning before, I'm using it against a Terran player. Now I'm going to speed this up and I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about with the using the Hellion opening. Now here, my opponent decides that he doesn't want to wall off, which makes the Hellion opening very effective, because then you can get into the base and do a lot of damage against Marines, as long as they don't split too much. So as you can see, the Marines did split a lot, and I did make a mistake with using the Hellion Micro, which is why it didn't work. But something else that you can utilize with gas openings is very fast drops, as you can see here. And by doing very fast drops, you can really do a lot of damage to worker lines. But that's about it for this tutorial on a fast gas opening, everybody. I say just let your mind wander, kind of figure out what kind of opening you want to do right away, and then try to utilize it to your advantage. Alright, if you have any questions, like I said, feel free to drop it in the Hotkey forum, and we'll get right with you. Alright, laters all.